Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. Quick update on our chance for some strong storms this afternoon. We have seen an expansion of the low risk for severe storms, and I'll show you that in a minute. But let me show you the overall setup here. You can see we've got a cold front back to the west that's approaching the mountains right now. Ahead of the cold front, temperatures are in the low 70s. Behind the front this morning, it's already in the 50s. Like Asheville's already dropped into the 50s. So the cold front is making some progress to the east. What's happening, this isn't just a cold front. There's some energy in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere. There's a dip in the jet stream that is coming down from Canada. And that dip from the jet stream is going to enhance this area of lift over the Carolinas. And that's going to allow for some strong storms to develop in the heating of the day. But it's kind of a race to see how quickly this line can come together. You can kind of see it trying to form right here. And as this pushes to the east, it will tap into some heat and humidity that's going to try to develop this afternoon and cause some strong storms. Let me show you the surface front. You can see it right there. So here's the low. It's forming back here in southwestern parts of North Carolina. And ahead of it, we've got this warm flow of air, which is starting to make things a little unstable here. So we're starting to see that risk for some severe storms increase. And I'm going to show you that low risk, that area in yellow. This is the area we're watching today. It basically now does include the Charlotte area, basically I-77 to the east, and then out in the coastal plain. I think the worst of this is going to be to the east, from Raleigh down towards Fayetteville, down to Wilmington, Myrtle Beach, maybe Florence and Orangeburg, but we could start to see those storms develop back here around Statesville, Charlotte, down to Rock Hill as this low kind of progresses off to the east. So let me kind of show you how this thing's going to unfold here. So you can see on the water vapor loop, we've got this big trough digging. Look at the flow of air coming straight out of Canada and coming down. If you notice, there's a little swirl there that's dropping down into this area. And watch it, I'll let this loop a couple times. And you can see there's a little spin in the atmosphere. There's also a little dip in the trough there. So we've got what we call divergence. If you look at this carefully, you can see the winds in the mid levels and the upper levels are going like this. They're spreading out. And when that happens, the air in between here gets lifted up into the atmosphere. So that's creating the environment we need to get some strong and possibly some severe storms this afternoon. That's why we've got this low risk right now for most of the Carolinas. So let me show you the evolution of this as we start to see the line of storms develop. I'm going to show you the future cast here. All right, here's the future cast. Watch the line of storms develop. We'll go into the afternoon hours. I'm going to stop this around noontime. Looks like the front's getting very active right around lunchtime. We'll go to about 2 o'clock here, and notice we're starting to see this line develop from around Hickory back down to Greenwood, and then we progress this, and right here around 4 o'clock. Again, this was pretty much on the spot yesterday as well. We saw right around 4 o'clock we were going to see a broken line of storms here. And again, the potential is probably for damaging winds. That's our number one concern. It's a 5% chance. It's not huge, but there is a low-end chance that one or two of these storms, if we see some of those what we call squiggly lines show up in there, that we could see the potential for maybe a rotation in one of these storms as it develops. And then we'll go through 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and you can see how the storms move to the east, but there's still some lingering rain back to the west. That's why the rain's going to linger for a while. This is 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11, midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., things start to move out. So I'll loop this a couple of times just to give you an idea. This is basically an 18-hour loop showing the progression of this pushing off to the east. So you can see that timeline for most of the Piedmont. It's going to be about 4 o'clock to about 8 o'clock for central North Carolina and the Piedmont of North and South Carolina. So let me look at some of the parameters here. We're going to go back here and I'm going to turn everything off for a second. And I'm going to show you some of those parameters I like to show you as far as CAPE or thunderstorm fuel. You probably hear me talk a lot about that. Let's show you thunderstorm fuel first. And you can see it's not great. If you remember last Friday, we had some oranges and reds, and the scales on the left, again, the brighter the colors, the more fuel for storms. A lot of green there. That's not really robust CAPE. Notice back towards the coast, you're getting some areas of yellow. And notice how the front, you can see the front move through and kind of push that thunderstorm fuel off. So there's a very narrow window for some thunderstorms. Now, what about rotation? Updraft helicity is something we look at. Does the storm have potential to rotate in the mid-levels? And you can see at times there's some hints of some rotation in this line, especially this cell right around 4 or 5 o'clock moving across the Charlotte area. So that's an area to watch. It's not a lot of rotation, but there is some in there, especially the orange area. And then it pushes off to the east, and you can see those areas going towards Raleigh. So that's something to keep an eye on, right around that 4 or 5 o'clock time frame. As that line moves across, the guidance or the short range models are indicating there could be some rotation within that line. And then the shear, this is something we look at, storm relative helicity. You could see as well, showing right along that line some pretty good helicity, which means the storms would have a lot of energy then pushing off to the east. And then the stuff on the backside, nothing to worry about because that'll all be elevated by then. But it's really that leading edge. So again, let's go back here and I'll time this out. This is the time frame right here that we're watching, right around 3, 4, 5 o'clock this afternoon. So again, pretty good day to stay weather aware, especially for the evening rush hour time frame. Again, this is 4:30 this afternoon. Doesn't look like a whole lot, but there's enough wind energy in the atmosphere, especially with this low in the vicinity, that we could see 1 or 2 of these storms potentially rotate and definitely produce some damaging winds. This won't be widespread severe weather, but I'm thinking an isolated area over the Piedmont certainly could see a possible tornado warning at some point this afternoon, and it's something I'll be watching. So make sure you grab the WCNC Charlotte weather app. We'll send out push alerts, and I'll post updates throughout the afternoon as things change. Stay weather aware. Behind this, great weather, cool, dry weather for the rest of the week. We just got to get through this strong front this morning and this afternoon. Have a great Tuesday, everybody.